As I had warned you all in my first video, TikTok has made it hard to post these videos, although I was still able to do so. At the end of this video, I have inserted a screenshot of the reasons in which they would not allow me to post the video, and you all can decipher what that means. I think that it's highly suspicious that we are not allowed to talk about the files on certain platforms. However, that is not going to stop me. If, for whatever reason, I cannot post them here, I will be posting them on YouTube as well, and I will leave a link for that in the description of one of these videos. Okay, let's pick up where we left off. Now, in 1981, Jeff was still working at Bear Stearns. This is where things would change for him. It would be in this year that he was investigated for funds that he sent to a former classmate, and some other funds that his then-girlfriend had access to. Jeff denied any wrongdoing, although he was still placed on a 2-month suspension and fined $2,500. The $2,500 fine being a joke compared to the amount of money that he currently made. If you remember, it was around $800,000 a year. And rather than continue to allow this investigation to happen, Jeff resigned from the firm, although the damage had already been done. Jeff now had access to some of the wealthiest people in the world. His contacts from this time period would follow him into his own independent career as a financial advisor on Wall Street. And Jeff would remain close to his friends, Alan Greenberg and Jimmy Kane, for many years to come. He also remained a client of this firm until its collapse in 2008. Jeff would found his own financial consulting firm in this same year, 1981. And with the clients that he already had, he began to build a larger network of clients and what would soon become accomplices. He continued to go on lunches with them and build strong friendships in this network of influential friends. During this time at Bear Stearns, and this particular time period in 1981 and throughout the 1980s, Jeff maintained a relationship with a woman named Paula Heel. She was the former Miss Indianapolis, and she worked as a saleswoman, similar to Jeff. She had her own network of wealthy and influential friends. She and Jeff would begin to take trips to England, where she would introduce Jeff to a Douglas Lease. Mr. Lease was a defense contractor. He also had connections with the British government and the arms industry. After this friendship began, Jeff even began tutoring Douglas Lease's son, whose name was Julian. And through this tutoring and close relationship, Jeff began accompanying Douglas to meet with very prominent figures in England. Although Jeff's relationship with Douglas would end badly, Douglas accusing Jeff of misusing his expense account to fund personal trips. Allegedly, Douglas had found out that Jeff was using his expense funds to fund luxury hotels and trips on the famous Concorde. After this falling out, Jeff would head back to New York City. There, he would partner with a lawyer named John Stanley Pottinger. And John would introduce Jeff to another man named Michael Stroll. Stroll was another influential businessman. Now, at this point in the story, I'm not sure if you're catching a common theme here with Jeff. It's very hard to digest this information because of the amount of names that are being thrown at you throughout these files. But the names are very important, as the whole reason that Jeff was able to get away with the things that he got away with for so long was because of all of these names and the weight that they held. I also notice that a lot of these people don't have actual titles to their jobs. They are simply known as influential businessmen or financial advisors, or it simply says that they worked on Wall Street. And supposedly, all of these people that don't have real job titles are some of the wealthiest people in the world. And therein lies the issue. I mean, what were they doing? What do you all do that is so very important to the way the rest of us function? When you start to dive into these people and this network that Jeff created, you start to see all of the flaws in the system that allow monsters like this to be created and protected. But anyway, let's continue on with the story. In 1982, Jeff and Michael Stroll would enter a business deal together. A deal in which Mr. Stroll gave Jeff $450,000 for crude oil. This $450,000 was an investment by Mr. Stroll in which he expected to see funds come back to him, although Jeff would never compensate Mr. Stroll for this investment. Stroll would go on to sue Jeff, but Jeff told the courts that it was simply not his fault that the business deal had fallen through. And unbelievably, the courts found him not liable. It would seem that his lofty connections and his large network had paid off for him yet again. These are the beginning instances in which we see the influence that he quickly got. Remember, Jeff was still in his late 20s to early 30s at this time and had already begun to work this network in his favor. So as we look at Jeff's early life, we realize that other than his mathematical abilities, the only thing that made Jeff a success was his ability to manipulate and partially scam the people around him. And we've seen this time and time again. Someone who has no real reason to be so successful and so in touch with the most powerful people. And yet, here we are. He lied about having the proper credentials to be a teacher. He lied about where the funds that he was given were going. And he even took advantage of his clients and friends that he saw as expendable. And this will be a running theme throughout the rest of this story. And yet he was still regarded as an impressive businessman. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you all in part 3.